What happens when a billionaire's son falls for a Filipino nurse, and his ruthless mother designs impossible tests? This story from Manila will leave you speechless. Maria Santos never imagined one patient would change her entire life. Chairman Park's tests were designed to break her. But what happened in the final test shocked all of Seoul. Stay until the end. Min-jae Park collapsed during a business meeting in Manila, his body finally surrendering to months of relentless work. The 28-year-old heir to Park Pharmaceuticals was rushed to Manila General Hospital. His mother, Chairman Park Hye-jin, controlled a billion-dollar empire from Seoul. She had planned every detail of his life, including his future wife. But fate had other plans waiting in that hospital room. Maria Santos was pulling a double shift when the emergency came through. The 26-year-old nurse from Batangas sent money home every month to support her family's farm. She had dreams of opening a clinic in her province someday. When she entered Min-jae's private room, their eyes met for the first time. Neither knew this moment would trigger a war between love and tradition that would captivate two countries. For 5 days, Maria cared for Min-jae with a warmth he'd never experienced in Seoul's cold business world. She didn't recognize Korea's most eligible bachelor. She treated him like any patient needing healing. They talked about her family's mango farm, his loneliness despite wealth, her dreams of helping her community. Min-jae felt something he'd been missing his entire privileged life. Before discharge, he asked for her number. Maria hesitated, then said yes. Their secret relationship bloomed over 8 months of Min-jae's frequent Manila visits disguised as business trips. He loved how she made simple street food taste better than Michelin restaurants. Maria showed him the real Philippines, riding jeepneys, visiting Luneta Park, eating at carinderias. She fell for his kindness, not his fortune. But Min-jae knew the hardest battle was coming. His mother had to know. He couldn't hide forever. Quick favor, hit like, subscribe, and drop a love emoji below. The mother's final test will shock you. Now, let's continue with what happened next. Chairman Park's reaction was ice-cold fury when Min-jae finally confessed over dinner in Seoul. Her son, heir to generations of pharmaceutical excellence, wanted to marry a Filipino nurse with no connections or wealth. The teacup in her hand trembled slightly, the only sign of emotion she allowed. But she didn't scream or threaten. Instead, she smiled dangerously and made an offer that chilled Min-jae's blood completely. Bring her to Seoul. 3 tests. If she passes all 3, you have my blessing, Chairman Park declared coldly. Min-jae knew his mother never made fair bargains, but he had no choice left. When he told Maria, she agreed immediately despite his warnings. 2 weeks later, Maria landed in Incheon with one suitcase and determination burning in her chest. The Park mansion looked like a palace. Maria whispered her Lola's words, "Dignity isn't worn, it's carried." Test 1 began at breakfast with Seoul's elite women, all former candidates for Min-jae's hand. They spoke rapid Korean, deliberately excluding Maria from conversations about art galleries and Swiss ski resorts. Maria sat quietly, observing everything, refusing to show shame about her background. When directly asked about her simple life, she answered honestly without apologizing. Her confidence unsettled them. She wasn't intimidated, just gracefully patient and observant throughout the entire meal. Chairman Park watched Maria like a hawk watches prey throughout that brutal 3-hour breakfast. The young Filipina didn't pretend to understand Korean high society she'd never experienced before. She didn't fake knowledge about European fashion or classical music. Instead, Maria asked thoughtful questions and listened genuinely to every answer given. She treated the household staff with the same respect as the elite guests. This unexpected humility with unshakable dignity caught Chairman Park completely off guard. Test 2 came disguised as generosity. Chairman Park presented Maria with designer clothes worth millions of pesos. "You'll need appropriate attire for our social circles," she said smoothly, watching for greed. Maria examined the beautiful garments carefully, then gently declined with clear gratitude and firmer boundaries. She explained she preferred earning her own way, that borrowed elegance felt dishonest to who she was. Min-jae held his breath waiting for his mother's explosive reaction to this unprecedented rejection. But Chairman Park simply smiled that dangerous smile again and moved to test 3 immediately. She assigned Maria to organize a charity gala for 300 guests in just 4 days. Impossible deadlines, complex Korean business protocols, language barriers at every turn. Most people would crumble under such pressure. But Maria had managed emergency rooms where lives hung in balance. She approached it like triage, asking for help when needed, working 18-hour days without complaint. Maria coordinated with Chairman Park's skeptical staff, learning essential Korean phrases for respect and hospitality. She researched Korean charitable traditions online, incorporating them thoughtfully into every planning detail. When language failed her, genuine warmth bridged gaps words couldn't cross. The staff initially dismissed her as unworthy, but gradually warmed to her tireless dedication. They began helping voluntarily, impressed by someone who treated them as equals, not servants to command. The gala night arrived with terrifying swiftness. Maria wore a custom Filipiniana sheet had sent from Manila, honoring her heritage with quiet pride instead of hiding it shamefully. Korea's wealthiest families arrived, political figures and business titans all watching Chairman Park's controversial choice curiously. Maria greeted everyone in practiced Korean, channeling her nervousness into gracious hospitality. The event flowed beautifully despite impossible odds. Even Chairman Park seemed momentarily impressed by Maria's achievement under pressure. Then the real test came. A guest insulted Maria directly, calling her a gold-digging opportunist loudly enough for everyone to hear. The ballroom fell silent, hundreds of eyes watching to see if she'd break publicly. Chairman Park watched most intently, waiting for Maria's true character to emerge under humiliation. Maria took one slow breath, then responded with devastating grace. She thanked the woman for her concern, acknowledged how their relationship might appear to skeptical eyes. "My love for Min-jae isn't proven by worthiness in your eyes," Maria continued steadily, voice never wavering. "It's proven by how I treat him when nobody's watching, by sacrifices nobody sees, by choosing his happiness over comfort." She then graciously changed the subject, refusing to poison the charitable evening with negativity. The room erupted in surprised admiration for her composure. Even the insulting guest looked ashamed. Chairman Park's expression shifted almost imperceptibly, something like respect flickering across her features. Min-jae started to defend Maria, but she subtly stopped him with gentle pressure on his arm. She didn't need rescuing, she'd saved herself with grace instead of anger or tears. Chairman Park noticed this too, filing it away as critical data. The gala ended triumphantly, raising record donations for Seoul's children's hospitals. Maria had transformed an impossible test into victory through authenticity. But the hardest test still waited, and nobody knew about it yet. The next morning, Chairman Park summoned Maria alone to her private office, no Min-jae for protection. The room felt intimidating with walls lined with presidential photographs and international awards. Maria sat straight, hands folded calmly, meeting those cold calculating eyes with warm unwavering ones. "Why do you really want my son?" Chairman Park asked bluntly, dropping all pretense. This was the real test. Everything before was just preparation for this moment. Maria could have listed Min-jae's virtues, declared pure love, or begged for acceptance desperately. Instead, she surprised Chairman Park with brutal honesty that cut through all social pretense. "I want him because he makes me want to be better while accepting who I am completely. His loneliness matches mine, and together we're less alone in this world." She paused, then continued with devastating courage that changed everything between them. "But I need to know something too," Maria said, shocking the powerful chairman by reversing the interrogation. "Will you ever truly accept me, or will I always be the unsuitable choice you tolerate? Because Min-jae deserves a mother who supports his happiness genuinely. I won't let my presence destroy their relationship permanently. He loves you too much for that." Her courage to question Chairman Park left the older woman stunned. Nobody had ever challenged her this way before. Chairman Park studied Maria silently for one agonizing minute that felt like hours passing. Then she did something completely unexpected. She laughed genuinely for the first time in years. "You have fire hidden beneath that gentle exterior. You're either remarkably brave or remarkably foolish. Possibly both simultaneously, which I find fascinating." She stood, walking to windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. "I've tested many women over the years. You're the first who tested me back. Every woman I selected for Min-jae wanted my approval more than his actual happiness," Chairman Park continued, voice softening unexpectedly. "They performed for me, not for him. They would have changed themselves completely for wealth and status and social position." She turned, her eyes showing vulnerability Maria had never seen. "You refused my expensive clothes, questioned my intentions, stayed yourself despite enormous pressure to conform. That authenticity is exactly what Min-jae needs." Maria's eyes filled with tears. She'd been holding back for days of testing and uncertainty. But Chairman Park wasn't finished revealing her true intentions behind the cruel challenges and public humiliation. I needed to know if you loved my son or his fortune and family status. I needed to see if pressure would corrupt your character or reveal its true strength. The chairman's voice cracked slightly with unexpected maternal emotion. Her hands trembled as she continued speaking. My son grew up surrounded by people who wanted something from him constantly, Chairman Park explained with rare vulnerability. Beautiful women who saw only his inheritance, friends who valued his connections over his soul and heart. I watched him become desperately lonely despite being constantly surrounded by crowds of admirers. When he told me about you, I heard genuine hope in his voice for the first time in 10 years. That terrified me more than anything. Chairman Park sat beside Maria, the physical and emotional distance between them shrinking rapidly. I tested you harshly because I love my son more than you can possibly imagine right now. If you had broken under pressure here, you'd break under real challenges ahead. The racism, the judgment, the scrutiny from our world and yours. Her hand, surprisingly warm, covered Maria's trembling one gently. You didn't break. You bent gracefully like bamboo, then stood tall again. But here's what I didn't expect to learn, the chairman continued with a slight smile. You showed me where I've been wrong for years. You treated my staff with respect I rarely show them myself. You admitted when you needed help instead of pretending false competence. You honored your Filipino heritage instead of hiding it shamefully. You taught this old stubborn woman some valuable lessons I desperately needed to learn. Maria found her voice finally, thick with emotion and overwhelming relief washing over her. I was so afraid of failing your tests, of losing Min-jae because I wasn't enough for your world. I almost gave up the second day when those women made me feel so small and worthless. She wiped her tears, smiling through them now. But then I remembered why I became a nurse, to care for people regardless of their judgment or treatment of me. Chairman Park nodded with new understanding and genuine respect blooming between unlikely allies. That's exactly why you passed every test. You stayed true to your core values even when changing them would have been easier and more convenient for everyone. She stood formally, extending her hand. Welcome to the Park family, Maria Santos. You've earned what others couldn't buy with all their wealth and connections, my genuine respect and blessing for this marriage. When Min-jae was summoned and saw his mother and Maria smiling together genuinely, he nearly fainted from shock. The tests he'd worried would destroy everything had instead built an unexpected bridge between two strong women. Chairman Park announced the engagement herself at a press conference, stunning Seoul's elite who'd been gossiping viciously about the unsuitable match. She publicly praised Maria's character, silencing critics with her powerful endorsement and unwavering support. The wedding combined Korean and Filipino traditions beautifully, a traditional hanbok ceremony followed by a vibrant Barong Tagalog reception. Maria's family came from Batangas, meeting the Parks with nervous dignity and pride. Chairman Park welcomed them warmly, having learned from Maria that respect transcends wealth and social class. The celebration became a viral symbol of two cultures honoring each other genuinely. International media covered it extensively. 3 years later, Maria established free medical clinics across Korea specifically for Filipino migrant workers, funded generously by the Park Foundation. Chairman Park worked alongside her daughter-in-law, their bond growing stronger through shared purpose and mutual respect. Min-jae often joked that his wife reformed his formidable mother more than anyone thought humanly possible. The tests that nearly broke them had instead revealed everyone's true character and created something beautiful. Maria never forgot the woman who insulted her publicly at that crucial gala. When that woman's husband's company failed catastrophically, Maria quietly helped their daughter get critical medical treatment for free. Grace isn't just for those who deserve it, Maria explained to a puzzled Min-jae. Chairman Park, overhearing this conversation, felt tears prick her eyes unexpectedly. Her son had chosen so well, better than she ever could have. The greatest test came when Maria and Min-jae faced their first real crisis together, a devastating miscarriage. Chairman Park flew to Manila where they were grieving, abandoning crucial business meetings without hesitation. She held Maria through the unbearable pain, this woman she'd once tried desperately to reject. Family isn't about blood or ancestry, she whispered through her own tears. It's about who stays when everything falls apart completely. Today, the Parks are Seoul's most beloved family, known for bridging cultures and championing human dignity across borders. Maria still works as a nurse occasionally, keeping herself grounded in the values that defined her character. Chairman Park tells everyone that her Filipino daughter-in-law taught her that worth isn't measured in bank accounts or social status. The tests were never really about proving Maria unworthy, they were about proving love worthy of her son. So what happened when a Korean heir fell in love with a Filipino nurse and his mother tested her? Everyone transformed in unexpected ways. The tests designed to break them built something beautiful instead. A family defined by respect, authentic love, and genuine connection across cultures. Sometimes the people who challenge us most fiercely become our greatest allies and teachers. Sometimes love doesn't just conquer all, it teaches all. Thank you for watching until the very end.